I don't know why Facebook is trying to be fancy right now. Hello there.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but you're not coming through the thing that hang on. You're not coming through this Bluetooth. That doesn't make sense. It says it's paired with it. Say something else.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you through that, but I'm not hearing you through the speaker. That's crazy.
You
and
probably
it just said it was paired. It just said that it was paired, too. It said that it's paired to the device.
Well, you're probably going to have to... It's paired with the device?
It's paired with the Bluetooth speaker.
Go to... is it Facebook?
No, it's on Zoom. It's what I'm trying to make your voice louder so that they can hear you on Facebook.
Oh, so you're on your computer?
Yes.
Go to your settings and see if you could allow... I think you have to allow the speaker to take over the audio.
Okay, let me see. We're trying to change it now. They're like, let's see. Nope. Well, at this point, I posted, let's see. It's not even where I can do anything with it. You know what I mean? It's not highlighted so that I can.
What?
It's not highlighted so I can even press on it. It's like grayed out. The setup thing. And apparently they're changing something over here.
On what?
On Facebook. Because they're giving you the option of going back to the old thing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, okay. Hey, Dexter. I'm just saying hey to people now. They're on here.
So I have my Facebook Live going as well. Hey, thank y'all for checking in. It should be a nice informational conversation. We'll have some very pertinent information on just domestic violence as a whole. The goal is to collectively bring awareness to collectively end domestic violence. It's a terrible epidemic to go through.
It is. It absolutely is. Dexter, can you hear him? Let me figure out what's going on. Are you still there? You sound like it. Okay, well, I posted that we're going to be over here, and I posted the passcode so that people can get in. Even though a couple people got in without it the last time, so that was weird. Okay, so you're on Zoom, right?
Yeah, I'm on Zoom.
Are you on Zoom? Okay. I'm just trying to make sure, like, what's going on right now? All right, so my Facebook Live feed is going on. Dexter, you said you can hear him? I'm going to need you to type faster. Probably doing 10 things at the same time. Okay. Yes, I am here and I can hear him. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So this is Apostle Cheryl Richardson, and we are doing this all over again because Neither one of us is about things not going the way they're supposed to go. And so we elected to do this over tonight because I think that the information that Clinton has to share is pertinent. And as you know, we come on every week. We've been doing lives for just about a year now, and we've been talking about the different aspects of domestic violence. And so what the Lord impressed upon my heart this time is to showcase domestic violence advocates that are on the front lines and have boots on the ground, that are actively doing something about this. And one thing that Clinton and I talked about earlier is the fact that when you're an advocate for anything, you live, eat, sleep it. It's on your heart all the time. It's not a hobby. It's not something that you just respond to when you're scrolling on social media and you say, oh, that's really sad, and then you go back to your life. It's something that's with you all of the time, and you're constantly trying to think of ways that you can reach people and how you can undergird people, encourage people, and help people to get free and to walk in the purpose that God has intended for them, which does not include being battered. It does not include being disrespected, called out of your name, being afraid to go to sleep, being subjected to financial abuse, and all these other things. And so we want to showcase Clinton on today because he was nominated. You have to be nominated for me to do this, okay? That means somebody besides you thinks you're amazing and that you have really helped them.
I know.
It's okay to self-esteem, but I need to know somebody else thinks you're amazing. And so someone did nominate him to me, and with rave reviews and all of that. And so I was excited to have an opportunity to talk with him, to give him an opportunity to showcase what he's doing and what God is doing with him in terms of domestic violence, being an advocate and an interventionist. I like that. So not just knowing about a problem and not just talking about it, but doing something about it, bringing solution to the problem, a viable solution. And so I'm going to give him an opportunity to introduce himself. He's got a lot of different things that he's doing, and I'm excited about the vision that God has given him because it's so huge, and that's how you know it's God, because it's so big that you need him to do it. That's how you know it's him. Okay, he's not going to give us something to do we can do without him. So without further ado, okay, I'm going to act like we're in church for a minute. The next voice you will hear is that of Clinton Patton, licensed professional counselor, domestic violence advocate, and interventionist. Okay, Clinton.
Well, first of all, let me say I would like to say thank you for having me. I get excited about every opportunity that I get to create awareness for domestic violence because I feel like if I touch one person and, my job is done. If I touch one person, my name is Clinton Patton Sr. I am the founder of the Ashley Renee Hamilton Foundation, a foundation who provides resources for victims, witnesses, and survivors of domestic violence. I am the owner of Patton Behavioral Health, a private practice for individual, family, and group counseling. I am an author. I'm a motivational speaker. I speak on topics such as breaking generational curses, domestic violence intervention, education, awareness, and prevention, how to raise at-risk children, adolescents, and I actually also grief as well. I do grief counseling, couples counseling. I do whatever it takes to make sure that I'm able to encourage the end of domestic violence.
Yes. Now, so let's talk about one of the things that I said earlier was that when we take up a cause, right, and when we're advocating for something, typically, if you're an advocate, it's because it resonates with you at the core of who you are, right? There's something about that cause that speaks to you, and you really feel like you have to do something about it.
Right.
Not just acknowledge the problem, but do something about solving the problem in a real way, in a practical way. And so what inspired you to establish the foundation? If you could explain to us what that's about, where that came from, as much as you're comfortable sharing, of course.
Well, I grew up in a household where I witnessed domestic violence I've also witnessed. I witnessed my mother as a victim of domestic violence. I've also witnessed my mother as a perpetrator of domestic violence growing up. Um, However, the turning point for me was in 2007. My sister was murdered by her boyfriend. Um, it was we spoke to each other every day, and we would talk about just everything, But she would never talk to me about her relationship and the things that was going on in that relationship. However, when she passed away, I went to Mississippi, and that's when I found out that she had been going through domestic violence, stalking, and threats and stuff like that. I can remember I was sitting in the parking lot at my job at the time, and I was sitting there listening to the music, and all of a sudden my phone rang, and it was Ashley. She said, "Hey, Big Clint, what are you up to?" I said, "Well, I'm sitting there waiting on my shift to begin." And she was like, "Well, I'm about to. I want to get back in school. I want to major in psychology. I want to be on the computer. I want to be on my MySpace and stuff like that." And I was just like, I kind of grinned and stuff. I was like, "Oh, you want to be just like your brother?" And we started laughing and stuff. So as we were talking, she said, "Y'all don't know what that boy do to me." And I said, "What do you mean? What are you talking about? What boy? Who do to you?" And she didn't say anything. She was just like, I don't know. She said, "I'm so happy. I didn't know my brother had a son. I just got to see this." And I was laughing. I said, "Girl, yeah, I got a son. You got a nephew." She said, "Ooh, I'm going to spoil him." I said, "I bet you are." So we kept talking and stuff. And I was talking to her about moving up here. I said, "Won't you come up here? You come stay with me or whatever." And she was like,
Right.
I gotta work. I'm gonna stay here because I need to get some money. She said, "I don't like to go nowhere without no money." I said, "Well, okay. Well, just let me know and we'll make that happen." So as we were talking, she said, "I don't know why that boy got that gun. I'm scared of that gun." And I said, "Well, what do you mean? What gun?" I said, "Is he putting it on you? Did he threaten you with it?" She said, "No, that boy ain't crazy." So I was like, "Okay, you need to let him know that I will come down there and I'll take care of it." Of course, I had a few choice words, but I won't use them for the sake of our audience. But I so let's say it was that was Friday, August the 10th. So I ended up going to Dallas because my cousin had graduated from UNT. She had a bachelor's in psychology. And we were all at my uncle's house, and we were talking about how my son and my sister's son look alike, and how they look like brothers, you know what I mean? And so my sister called around 6:00, and she was like, "Well, I'm going to." I said, "Why didn't you come down?" She said, "Well, I had to work." I said, "Oh, okay. Well, I mean, I sure wish I could have saw you." And then she was like, "Well, I'm tired. I'm gonna get ready to go to sleep." So I said, "Okay, well, call me when you get up." So Ashley didn't go to sleep that night. Ashley got in her car and drove to Hollandale because somebody called her on her cell phone and told her that her baby dad at the time was in the club with his first baby mom. And so she went down there, and they said that there was an argument or some type of confrontation. So Ashley left first and made it home. So when she made it home, she got out of all her clothes and stuff as if she's about to go to sleep. So this dude drove all the way from Hollandale, Mississippi to Jackson, Mississippi, which is about an hour and 45 minutes away. Kicked the door of the house in, went in there and shot my sister in the head. So August the 12th, at like 4 in the morning, we got a phone call, and they said it's been a tragedy, and it was Ashley. So when I was asleep, and I woke up, and I heard wailing. I heard really sorrow. I heard sadness. I heard a lot of pain and anguish. And I got up and I said, "What y'all there crying for?" Just like that. And then my dad looked up. My dad was crying. And then my sister's mom, she said, "That boy killed your sister." I said, "Who?" "That boy killed Ashley." I said, "No, he didn't." I said, "You mean my sister dead? You mean she not hurt? She dead?" He said, "Yeah, she dead." I went and got my cell phone. I picked that phone up. I called her. I dialed her number. I was hoping that she would answer so it wouldn't seem real. I sent her a text message. I left a message. I told her to call me back when she got this message. I never received that text message, that response. I never received that phone call. And 2 weeks later, I had to go bury my sister in Hollandale, Mississippi. Um, every day,
Sorry to hear that. I mean,
every
and you heard it before, but it's just like, ugh. I'm so sorry to hear that. So sorry.
but every I would say every single day feel like it happened over again. It's like that movie with Tom Cruise, The Edge of Tomorrow, where it just you feel like you just keep waking up in the same situation. You know, it seems like you keep waking up to hearing like she's dead. You know, she's dead.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what I did, I came 2 years after my sister passed away. I was angry every single day. I would go play basketball and I would be getting into it with people for no reason because I was taking my anger out on, innocent people. So
Right.
I came to a point in my life where I had to make a decision. That decision was either I was going to plan a murder or I was going to do something to make sure that this never happened to somebody else's loved one. I thought about it for a while, but then I decided that I'm no killer. So it's best for me to just make sure that it never happened to somebody else's sister, cousin, auntie, loved one.
Right. That's a hard thing. And how old was Ashley? She was really young.
She was 22.
Yeah, she was really, really young. And you shared with me that she had a baby, right?
Yeah, she has my nephew Duke and my niece Desire.
And the youngest was only 3 months old.
It's 3 months. Yep.
That is just, I mean, there are so many messages really embedded in what happened to her, how it affected you. Because a victim finds themselves often at a crossroads, right?
Right. Some of them they want to protect their loved ones because they feel like they can handle the situation. My sister knows that we've had times where I had to defend her, and I did get physical. She knows that I would never stand by and allow her or any other woman to be abused and just not, do anything about it. But I for a long time, I felt guilty because I felt that I couldn't protect my sister. And if I would have known or could have heard something or been able to tell that it was very, very bad, then maybe I could have done something. So I lived with that guilt for a long time, and that's another thing. I found myself when I was going through that, people would say, she's in a better place. I hated to hear that. Like, that's the last thing that I wanted to hear was she's in a better place. Or God's will be done. I hated to hear that too, because God is not in every act. God is a God of love, and love is not killing somebody because they don't want to be with you. And who knows where the better place would have been. Her better place would have been here with us, her being able to raise her kids and be a part of her family. But now, because she loved the wrong person, she got a life sentence. He had 8 years. 8 years for taking her life.
Is that what he was sentenced to?
So they gave him a plea bargain. The plea bargain was for 20 years, manslaughter, $10,000 fine, and anger management classes. And most batterers, they're not confrontational with guys. So I'm not surprised that he went and got out of prison on good behavior because he's a coward.
Right. Wow. And this had far-reaching impact on, other family members as well, right?
Yeah. And in domestic violence situations, the family is often forgotten about. They hurt too. They have a void. They're gonna always miss their loved one. To condone something like that is to be heartless. To condone something like that is to have disregard for humanity. again, it's not a gender-based problem. It is a problem
Right.
with humanity. You know,
Yes.
if we take away the title man and woman, what do you have left? You have the human. The human has emotions and feelings. For myself, people would tell me, you need to let it go. Let God take care of it. Vengeance is mine, said the Lord. However, that is not comforting in no way, shape, or form.
No, it's
If
not.
God would have, why didn't, my question would be, now you're telling me about God is vengeance, but why didn't anybody tell this dude not to kill my sister? Why y'all not talking about God tell this man not to kill this girl, or God, make this man heart change? You know what I mean? Why all of a sudden now it's let God do that? You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, I'm not
Right.
saying that I want to extract any type of vengeance or any type of harm, but I just want to stop domestic violence at its root. The
Right.
root of domestic violence, because it comes from generational curses. You got generations of people who go through this type of behavior, and they learn that this behavior is comfortable. They find comfort in this type of behavior. And what
Yes. It's
happens
familiar.
is it perpetuates the cycle of violence. So now we
Right.
have a justice system that does not value lives of victims of domestic violence. The justice
Right.
system itself can be manipulated to re-traumatize and re-victimize the victim. So
Yes.
in order to stop a cycle like that, we have to look at domestic violence as a whole. We have to be able to look at the batterer. It's almost like you have to understand the thought processes of a batterer in order to break a cycle within that batterer, so that they don't manipulate a system, and so that the system itself can work to protect our victims of domestic violence, male and female victims of domestic violence.
Right. Right. And one of the things that I speak about often is the fact that men are in fact victims too. And one thing you'll never hear me say on my page or on anybody else's page, when a victim talks about how they've been mistreated, whether they're male or female, you will never hear me say, well, none of this is your fault and it's all on them. Because my thought process is this: you can't batter me if I'm not there.
Right.
And you can't abuse me if I don't give you access to me.
Right.
So it's impossible to get truly free as long as you are totally blaming the abuser.
But we can't. The thing we gotta.
Absence. You know what I'm saying? They
But
cannot harm you without access.
But our mindset has to shift, because there is psychological warfare. It's psychological warfare between a batterer and a victim. We could talk about how they should stay, how they should leave all day long. It is not that easy for a victim to leave a domestically abusive situation. One thing being resources. When someone is being abused, their resources are stripped from them by their batterer. And and even though there are in some cases, there are victims who are the breadwinners of a household. So what happens is, you got to think about we talk about something called battered women syndrome. That could go for men too. So that definition needs to change to fit men and women as well. So there's battered women syndrome. That stuff is tough. That is very difficult, because you go through your whole life having someone to gaslight you, to make you believe that this abuse stuff that you're going through, you're making up. So now then they tell you, they say, hey, nobody's going to believe you. Nobody's going to believe you. So now you got a person who says, dang, I might as well stay, because first, this is where I live at. I don't have any money. I don't have any resources. This person provides those resources. Or I don't want to lose my kids. I don't want to lose my kids to a system. This gives my kids a roof to live under. You know what I mean? I don't want to lose my pets. This gives my pets a home. So what we need to do as a community, we have to band together collectively to build organizations that give them more than 90 days to get on their feet. Give them a sense of humanity. And I'm not talking about a shelter, because sometimes shelters make you feel like a refugee, like you don't even belong in this country. as a transition, we're talking about something called transition. To transition someone from a sense of normalcy after going through something like that. This should require a sense of counseling. Counseling should be made affordable or free to victims, witnesses, and survivors of domestic violence as well.
Right.
You know,
right.
and
their families, right, and to their families, because it's hard. It's hard on the entire family unit. Now you mentioned shelters, and that's interesting because shelters, the idea of a shelter, right, is supposed to be nurturing and to provide these things that we need.
but it's not, because
it's very, very easy for staff. Because I remember being a shelter director in St. Louis, and I did this for 4 to 5 years in St. Louis, and I had to watch my staff because I noticed that they would be really, really stringent about the rules. And rules are important. But if you consider that a person just got away from a batterer, an abuser, and maybe they've been with this person a short amount of time, or maybe they've been with them a long time, but all they have is what they have literally been able to shove into a hefty bag.
Right.
That's all they have.
Right.
That's it. That's all
but
they
even
have.
in the shelter,
but they're worrying about if she made her bed or not. She's traumatized and probably hasn't slept in God knows how long.
But they lack compassion.
Right. And so we end up re-traumatizing them. Okay,
right.
So now they've left the batterer, and now they're in the shelter getting abused some more.
Absolutely. Yes.
Getting abused all over again. Because they're not understanding this is the first time she's been able to sleep without worrying about having a gun put to her head.
Right.
Or this is the first time he's been able to sleep without worrying about getting hot grease poured on him or whatever, And so we've got to figure out how to actually help and to do that and to help. Not do it because we just want our ego stroked. Because I think when it comes from that place, when it comes from the wrong place, then it becomes dictator-like and rule-oriented. And now I'm going to make you fit into this box. I'm going to make you march to the same beat that everybody else has to. And it's not taking into consideration the damage that is done. Another thing I want to interject is because you mentioned that it's not easy, right, for a victim to...
No, it's not. Absolutely, it's not easy.
Trauma rewires our brain.
Yes.
It literally rewires the brain.
Right.
It literally shrinks its capacity. Like the physical brain becomes smaller the more we're exposed to trauma. And so you have less to work with. You have your decision making. All of that is compromised. All of that is compromised. So it's not as simple as, it has nothing to do with intelligence. It has nothing to do with, well, they've done this 2 or 3 times and that should be plenty and you should be able to leave. It's really not that simple. And when you couple that with the practical things that we need as human beings, a roof over our head, food. If you have children, that's added responsibility. If you have pets, that's added responsibility.
Right.
Even if you find a shelter, they might accept you, but what if your kids is too old?
Right.
Some shelters won't accept male children past a certain age.
And there are no shelters for male victims of domestic violence, and there aren't any that you can find that will accept a man who has children as well.
Right.
So,
and then if you find the pets, then it's
right.
like, I might as well just stay here because I can't live like that. I can't live like that. And then then the backlash and everybody's opinion. And the thing that burns me up, the misappropriated scripture, don't even get me started on that.
Right.
Scripture out of context, scripture being used as a ploy to keep people in unhealthy situations.
But the scripture that they're reading anyway, I'm gonna break this down real quick. Domestic violence is a generational curse. That means that it's been passed down from generation to generation to generation. Right. And you have 1 or 2 things that you can do when you're in that situation. Either you can become a victim or you can become a perpetrator. Mm-hmm. Or you can become a advocate against it because you have the empathy to understand that it's wrong. or your moral judgment lets you know that it's wrong. So as I've done research and I've thought about how this thing starts. And it starts from emotional abuse. The first time a person call you out of your name, that person can be abusive towards you. The first time the person call you out of your name, that person can and will at some point become abusive towards you. And what happens is, for a man, when a man hasn't had a appropriate attachment with a female or a womanly figure in his life, he learns to be resentful. He doesn't have that nurturing side that he needs. Or he learns, if he's watching dad hit mom, then he learns that the only way that I get my needs met is through violence. So domestic violence, the root of domestic violence is our parents. They place us in environments of domestic violence. So since that is the case, how do we move forward and stop domestic violence, even though we know it's a generational curse? We teach people to do the opposite. If we know that yelling is a part of a generational curse, then maybe we should stop yelling and learn how to talk. If we know that we have had trauma in our childhood, then we must go get counseling so that we don't traumatize our kids, because traumatized parents raise traumatized kids. And traumatized kids will traumatize other kids. And do you see how the cycle is perpetuated? So the best thing that we can do is learn to minimize the traumatic experiences associated with domestic violence. We have to do that with compassion, love, and understanding. We have to do it without competition. We have to do it in a safe manner. We have to be respectful. We have to understand that victims of domestic violence, male and female, are human. They have the right to live in a relationship without violence, because relationships are how we evolve as people. Relationships are very vital to success. The relationship has to be better. Like our kids in school, some of them are abused by their mama. Now I know they don't want nobody want to hear this, because they don't want to hold people accountable, but I do not care, because that leads to domestic violence. When you have a young man and his mom, first of all, society says, regardless of what your mama say to you or do to you, that is your mama. You listen and you do it and you take it. Okay? It's the first thing. Then they tell you, as a young man, you better not cry. You cry. Meaning you don't have feelings. You don't feel. So now this little boy got to go take all this verbal abuse that leads to physical stuff, because mama had a long day at work. She's been stressed out. The boy not listening to nothing she's saying. So since he can't pop his mama or talk back to his mama, he go to school and he talk back to the teacher, because the teacher reminds him of his mama, or he hitting on the little girl because the little girl reminds him of his mama, or he hitting on his sister because the mama reminds him of his sister. You see what I'm saying? So yes, you want to take the accolades. You want to take credit for that. I'm a single mom. I'm raising kids that are good. But you got to take the good with the bad. If it's something that you're doing as a single mom, your responsibility is to go ahead and get counseling. We love you. We want you to have the best opportunity to succeed. We don't want you to be defensive when we're trying to teach you that it's a better way so that you don't break your child's spirit. We don't want you to be defensive. We want you to understand that everything that we do in this field is because we want people to live in peace. We want to love you. We want to care for you. But we also want to we want to be able to hold you accountable without you being defensive or upset or getting an attitude or saying, don't tell me how to raise my son. Like, say for instance, I'm against whooping. I do not whoop my kids. I do not whoop my kids. And I know in our community, they're not going to agree with it. But I do not whoop my kid because I love my child. I'm not going to hurt my child because What I do with my child is I take the opportunity to teach him, and I'm not teaching him through violence. I don't want my son to think that violence is the best way to get his needs met. So what I do with my son, I have a relationship with my baby boy. I talk to my son. I hug on my son. I give him kiss. I kiss him on his forehead and everything else. I let him talk. I don't make him scared of me. I laugh and joke with my son. I make sure that my son know that it's okay to feel. It's okay to be empathetic. It's okay to be respectful to people because I want you to respect yourself. I told my son, I said, listen, I have to respect you just like I want you to respect other people. I don't show my son, that it's okay to become, aggressive and stuff like that. No, you don't need that. I teach my son how to communicate. And the way that I parent so that I don't raise an abuser or someone to be abused. I don't want to raise an abuser. I want to raise a son that's going to change the world. I want my daughter to change the world. So that starts with me in the environment that I place my son in. You know what I mean? Love is correction. Love is correction. Ain't nothing worse than breaking your child's spirit and sending them to school so they can learn when they don't have confidence. It takes confidence to learn. And one thing that abusers do is they strip you of your autonomy, your confidence, your self-esteem, your loved ones, your support system, just so they can have their way in power and control.
Right.
They're going to take advantage of every opportunity.
Right. And their appetite is insatiable. It's not like it would ever be enough.
No.
It's never enough. You're never broken enough.
No, because they're gonna keep doing it. Then think about it though. In domestic violence, I think that they need to be premeditated because once you start abusing someone, you have the potential of killing them. Mm-hmm. You can, and a batterer can kill someone without them actually laying in a coffin. The first thing a batterer do is kill your spirit.
Right.
It makes you walk around as if your body is the coffin. Mm-hmm. It's like it's empty. It makes you feel numb.
Right.
But see, the best way to
Right. And the only way to stay in a situation like this, and this is what I tell clients, and this is what I tell people that I minister to, even in terms of church, you have to get sick yourself in order to even stay. You have to adapt to the abuse in order to continue to stay in an environment where abuse occurs. A healthy person, the first time you cuss at them, curse them out, disrespect them, it's like, you know what? There's more where that came from.
But people who have been battered are very, very resilient. They're very resilient. And they don't need pity. They need help.
No.
They don't need pity. They need help.
And they need accountability too. And this is what
they need accountability. They do.
When they reach out to me, okay, you need to be accountable. If you're telling me, well, all he ever does is curse me out and break things, and so you expect him to do what?
Because he's not going to change. But the thing is, what I do is you got to build from the inside out. Mm-hmm. You got to build from the inside out. Man, it's easy to love someone when you're made in love. You know what I mean? It's easy to love someone. So people men who go through that stuff need love as well. I think that the issue with the reason that men don't report domestic violence is, one, society will ostracize them for doing it. They will be laughed at, made fun of, like, oh, you can't take a hit from a girl and all that kind of stuff. Or, boy, please, that girl ain't hurt you. But at the end of the day, when you get done taking away the man and the woman title, you got the human. And humans have feelings. We have innate feelings. Men and women feel the same. They have the exact same feelings. Men and women who are abusive have the same behavioral patterns. They are the same. Like they throw temper tantrums. They verbally aggressive. They will cuss and yell and intimidate, and they create extreme fear. That's why I want that when most of the battles that you may face will suffer from PTSD.
Absolutely. And so I think accountability is important. I think it's to engage in the first place. So we've got to be honest when we're dealing with abusers and when we're dealing with victims. The accountability rests on both parties. It's not just them. It's not just the abuser.
Right.
And one of the things that we didn't talk about this when we first did this interview, but there's resistive and reactive aggression that can occur in a domestic violence situation.
Right.
And by that I mean that maybe he starts off being the veteran, he starts off with the emotional abuse, and then she retaliates, or vice versa. What will happen if you stay in this unhealthy situation long enough is it will cause you to become, listen to what I'm saying, it will cause you to become something that you don't even like.
Yeah.
Which in turn makes it easier for you to be controlled by somebody else, because now they can say, well, I mean, you cursed me out.
But some people, some of them think that, some of them don't think, some people believe that because two people are fighting, that it's not domestic violence.
Right.
And by no means is it ever necessary to physically put your hands on anybody in a relationship. By no means is it necessary to put your hands on anyone in a relationship.
It's wrong.
You know what I mean?
Wrong.
And you got to talk about speaking life. You know, a lot of our situations is because of the way that we choose to use our words, and words hurt. Words will follow you to your grave. You will heal physically, but the words will hurt the worst. The words will hurt. They stick with you, because imagine telling somebody that they're dumb all the time. Guess what happens? They're going to start to believe it. Imagine something, you can't leave me. They start to believe it. Or an abuser say, hey, you are the only person that can help me. They start to believe it. Then they stay through all the abuse. Right. The thing is, it's time to...
Even threats of suicide.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes, victims will fall for this because it's like, well, he said or she said they're going to kill themselves if I leave. That's abusive.
Right.
If they mean it or not, that's abusive. And if someone's suicidal, then you need to call 911 because they are not reasoning well. Temper tantrums
are abusive too. And I know a lot of people that don't believe that. But when you throw a temper tantrum, the temper tantrum is physical. Whether it's you stomping down the hall, slamming the door, or throwing something that's physical, that elicits anxiety. That elicits like fight or flight when you do that kind of stuff. And you get people all the time that's not abusive or a temper tantrum. No, first of all, temper tantrums are childlike behavior.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's pretty much. It's abusive.
It is abusive, and it's manipulative, because when I engage in that behavior, we seek to impose our will on another person. And I think that accountability is important. I think people need to quit misappropriating scripture, because I just can't with them when they do that. God does not condone violence.
No. It's a God of love.
And the problem with staying in any unhealthy situation is it will turn you into, it will pull all that negative, everything that's not positive about you. All right? It will do CPR on it. It will bring it to life. You will find yourself saying, doing, thinking, focused on things that's completely out of character.
You'll be thinking survival. And when you're living in survival mode, you'll do anything to survive. You don't have I got a lady says, how do you help your 22-year-old adult child that was abused from their father to not be abusive towards her man?
She needs therapy.
Counseling. I see you, Miss Sherry. I would encourage her to seek counseling, or you can give me her contact information, and I'll start speaking with her to give her the what will happen, because that what we don't look at too is that some women are provocative. They will provoke you until you are angry, until you do something out of character, and then they will want to play the victim. So that's abusive as well. Like
it is
right,
and it's learned, and it works.
Right,
it works. And the thing about human beings is there's no stronger reinforcement unless it's intermittent than doing something and it gets us what we're after.
Right.
If it works,
But the reason that men don't view women's behavior towards them as abusive is because they've been taught that as a man they're supposed to be able to not feel it, or they're supposed to be able to take it. However, like I said before, when you get ready to take away the gender specific title, you move away from man and woman, and all you have left is human. Humans have feelings, whether it's a man or not. And then we live in a society where you have some women who believe that they are smarter than man, and it's kind of degrading in a sense. Why can't we have a equal playing field? Why can't we respect each other equally? Why is it so difficult to have a reciprocal relationship regardless of gender? Why is it like that? I can tell you why it's like that. Because we have become comfortable in chaos. We have been comfortable in poverty. We have been comfortable with lack of education. We have been comfortable with the breadcrumbs that we get as a community. We have been comfortable with waiting for people to help us instead of helping ourselves with the resources that we have collectively. We have become comfortable with the crab in the barrel. We love to put each other down instead of lifting each other up. Better yet, why don't we take all the crabs in the barrel and move the barrel to the side and knock the barrel over so all the crabs can get out the barrel at the same time?
Right. And you know what we were saying earlier, and I've been thinking about this for a long time, but I believe, especially among African Americans, we have been trauma bonded for 400 years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we've been trained this way.
Yeah.
Everything's a competition.
Right.
When it really doesn't need to be, I find it so irritating. Okay. When it doesn't really.
We have an identity. Our identity is trauma. Our identity is extreme fear. And what I've been seeing is some of us in our community feel extra tough. We feel tough. We act out. We feel like anger is us defending ourselves or protecting ourselves. Anger is a secondary emotion. It's never the primary emotion. If our identity is trauma, then our community act out of extreme fear in most cases, in any given situation, because now we have this self-hate that we have been taught, and that's another thing, another level of trauma. We have this self-hate. So if we hate ourselves, then guess what it is? It's easy for us to hate other people that look like us. It's easy for us to hate people that don't look like us, because now we got this self-hate due to this trauma.
It's easy to accept being mistreated as well.
Absolutely. I mean, I said before that you can learn to be a victim. Children learn by modeling. Do you know that some children learn symptoms of a mental health disorder? They don't even have to be diagnosed, but they learn the symptoms, and they learn to imitate the symptoms.
Right.
Not that they have it, because children learn through modeled behavior. So all of this is our fault as parents. I'm the first to say it. Men and women are at fault for the state of our community. Men and women are at fault when we talk about our domestically abusive relationships, because we need to be responsible and accountable for encouraging healthy relationships. We shouldn't be teaching our young ladies that they are more valuable than a young man. We should be teaching our young ladies that you value that man as well as he value you. We shouldn't be teaching our young men that you chase a young lady. We need to teach our young men that, son, you keep your value, but you value other people. You respect people. You respect them. It's our fault. We need to step up and do better. And it's not about the blame game. You notice I didn't say women do this and men do that. I said all of us as parents, as the elders in the community. It's time for us to step up and help ourselves. we sit around waiting on the government to do everything. You obviously know the government's not in our best interest in the first place. We're the last to get things that we need, or we don't get them at all. So if we not the last to get it from the government, now it's time for us to step up so that we can break these generational curses within our community. And I will give you one way to do it. When you recognize that there's a generational curse, you need to do the opposite. Do the opposite. Those 3 words should ring heavy in your head. If you know that your mom yelled and cussed and screamed at you and you didn't like it and you got kids, do the opposite and watch how it impacts your life in the most positive way. Do the opposite. If you know that you got alcoholism in your family, then don't drink. Do the opposite. I mean, if you know you got drugs and stuff in your family, do the opposite. Do the opposite. It is okay for you to have standards. You can have standards and love your family. You can have standards and love your family. You don't have to get rid of your standards just to love your family. So when you leave your mama's house and your daddy's house, it is up to you to go get counseling for your childhood and the trauma that you have sustained. It's a lot of people who have had traumatizing childhoods. This is the time to utilize counseling. Let's get in here and work through these issues so that we as a society can be the best that we can be, so that we can have the best opportunity to be successful. See, we can talk about domestic violence and poverty and education. All of that stuff is linked together in generational curses. So now it's time for us to stop it. So what I'm going to say is, I'm a man of action. You guys know what I post on Facebook. I live what I post. I am what I post to be. I am what I post to be. So if you would like to help out in any type of way, don't hesitate to contact me at the ARH Foundation on Facebook. You can contact me in my inbox at Clinton Patton Sr. I'm on Instagram. You can even call me at 405-446-5597. I went to Barnes and Nobles before everything happened, and I realized that there were not any journals that address trauma. So when I realized that, I went and I wrote a journal to address trauma. It's called Put It on Paper, Healing the Inner Child Through Journaling. It is $24.99. It's going to be at Barnes and Noble. However, I will have some on hand here in the next couple of weeks. As soon as I get to as soon as I'm able to print them. I also got a TV show. It's called Illusions. This show is about domestic violence awareness in an entertainment way to create awareness to domestic violence. I'm working on my second book called Double Standards, a look inside domestic violence against men. I got a lot of stuff going on. If you would like to help in any type of way, I would really appreciate it. Every victim on this planet would appreciate it. I mean,
talk about the high rise.
Oh, yes. Also, my ultimate goal for the Ashley Renee Hamilton Foundation is to build a transitional high-rise apartment building, and have on the first floor every entity that a person would need to refrain from going back into a domestically abusive relationship. I want them to be able to stay 2 years before they have to move. I want to give them the best foot forward. I want to make these moves. So when you see that I need some assistance or something, I would really appreciate you helping the organization out. I am ready to change lives. I will not stop until I can decrease the numbers of domestic violence, because it 99.9% of the time ends in death, and I'm about saving lives, and that's what God told me to do. So if you need to get in contact with me, 405-446-5597 at the ARH Foundation. You want to shoot me an email, thearhfoundation@gmail.com. If you want counseling, Patton Behavioral Health at gmail.com. I could work something out. I can do telemedicine or telehealth. Whatever you need. If you want to leave a situation like that, or if you want help with working through your trauma, I got some stuff for you. Give me the opportunity to help you, and I will do my best to make sure that I can help you to get you where you need to be. Last thing that I'm going to say before I get ready to get out of here. Love does not hurt. Love doesn't hurt. Love does not hurt. If your man or your woman is calling you out of your name, they don't love you. If your man or your woman is ignoring you, they don't love you. If most of all, they don't love themselves. A person that doesn't love themselves would never love you. A person that don't love themselves would never love you. It's very imperative that you love yourself. You have to love yourself. Love doesn't hurt. By no means necessary does love hurt. Now, love is correction, but love does not hurt. Right. If you have any questions or concerns, feel free to hit me up.
In case someone has a question, does anybody have a question?
Yeah, we take questions and answers.
If you have a question, unmute your mic and ask your question.
Yep, you got questions, I'm here. Ask a question.
Any questions? Let me see if anybody has any questions on Facebook. I unmuted myself. Can you hear me?
Hey, how you doing?
Okay, I'm good. This is Natasha Bakar. I don't have a question, but I do want to say something that was powerful that you mentioned earlier, and that was how you wanted to protect your sister, I believe, because I came in a little bit later.
Yes.
But how you wanted to protect her. Now, this actually just happened this year in my situation where I had two of my family members get to the point where they was like, you know what, we had enough. You know?
Yeah.
I've been separated, but they just kept that torment of trying to control, even from far, you know, through everything, even what the courts had set up. And this is where I really want a voice to be heard, is that the resources that we have are still limited, like you said, with the court not really understanding what a domestic violence person looks like. The level of manipulation and control that they will do in order to get their way, it's always, I won't say always, but in my case, it was overshadowed by the courts, because the courts are supposed to be the neutral party. So right. Time and time again, you know, as we've gone on, he's kind of, you know, pushed the envelope, but never really got in trouble. You know,
oh, that's what they do. They'll push the limits, but they won't go over.
Yeah. And so what ends up happening is the family starts to see this, and the family gets worried. And, you know, my mom was calling my nephew and saying, hey, you know, this is going on. And eventually it got to a point where my family stood up for me.
Right.
So within 24 hours, my family members were in court defending themselves, because he flipped the whole story to make it look like they came after him and I asked them to. So it's just, you know, I'm really at a loss for the court system, even though I understand it. It's like the system is set up so
what state are you in?
It's a fair trial. I'm in Virginia Beach.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Mhm. So, you know, the system is set up so everybody gets a fair trial, but it's so many things that's left out.
You have to document. You have to document everything. You have to document everything. You need to get a journal. You need to document everything. Times, date, and time. You want to document it all. I don't care if he come over there and breathe on your porch. You document that. You know what I mean? You document everything. And I need you to keep your head up. I need you to be creative. Be safe. Don't engage in anything that could possibly hurt you. Call the police when you need to. But for the most part, please document everything. If you need me or need to talk to me in any type of way, you could. My number is 405-446-5597. You could send me a message on Facebook. I'm here for you. And I know I'm in Oklahoma City, but I can strategically help you.
Yeah.
But don't give
It's
up.
important, Tasha. It's important also that when we're documenting, that we are aware of our reactive and resistive responses to things.
Yeah.
It doesn't help if we give them ammunition. You have to think strategically. You cannot
Right.
give them. You can't
Don't add fuel to the fire.
but don't give him something to come at you with. And that means limited conversation. That means conversation in front of
Do they have kids?
Writing.
Yeah, we have 2 children, and we've been. I've been going through this for about 8 years, so I've learned from listening to other advocates and just reading up on it that I journal everything. If you see my file, I look like the lawyer because I journal everything.
You know,
I have a copy of everything.
Another way to deal with that is, I know a lot of people might not agree, but I think you should consider relocation.
Well, there you go. That's something that a lot of people will say to me, but unfortunately, he has visitation.
Right.
He has visitations on certain days. I have a child with a disability, so
Right.
There's 2 factors that's in there, like what they're going to say, and there's some other things that I will discuss with you in private. But for the most part, the actual divorce decree makes it difficult for me to even do that.
So have you so the courts are aware that you are dealing with a domestically abusive situation?
I was issued a protective order for 2 years. That says a lot in itself. Once the protective order, I would say at the end of the protective order, he just kept popping up. By the time I called 911, he would be gone. And it was just like, I kept calling because I wanted to get on record. Well, the last time I went to court, the attorney tells me, well, we can't use any of the police calls. And I'm like, well, then why am I documenting this stuff? It's like 2 years ago, it was a much different system than it is now. I'm like, why would you not use? I understand not using what I said, because anybody can pick up the phone, call 911, and file a false report. But the date that I called to back up everything else should be important. But these are the challenges that I see as I move forward to get another order or to put whatever provisions I need to, so it doesn't get to escalate.
Do you try to record them?
I record. I have we have another court date set up.
No, do you record him, like physically record him?
That's what I'm saying. I have everything on record. I record everything.
Videos?
We're exchanging the children. I record everything.
Okay.
And the 2, let me say it this way, he doesn't remember because I'm trying to figure out a way to say it without saying too much.
Right.
A lot of times, because I'm dealing with someone who has a fit, like he throws a temper tantrum, right?
But
what happens?
You're the only person that see that, right?
Sometimes, but what ended up happening is once the temper tantrum happens, he forgets everything from what he said.
Nah, that ain't true. That ain't true. He ain't forget nothing. That's a way. He's just trying to scare you. Nah.
Okay, but I'll say it like this: what he said on the video is different than what he put in the police report. You see what I'm saying? So in court, it's going to be clear, like on video, out of his own mouth, this is what he said. On the police report, because now he's trying to create a story, he said something completely different. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like he forgot, but he's not recognizing, like, okay, she just recorded me saying this, and now I'm going to the police to the police office, and I'm saying something else. And so when you put the evidence together and you line them up, it does not fit. But it takes the judge to see that. And this court date has been pushed back almost 5 times. 5 times. He come into the court and he say, I don't have an attorney.
Do you have a domestic violence advocate?
I called for a domestic violence advocate. They gave me, they told me, oh, okay, let me go there. They told me I couldn't get a domestic violence advocate on this one because when he tried to push me, because I told the magistrate, he bum rushed me from behind. I was walking to my house with holding my son's hand. He bum rushed me from behind, pushed me out the way, and grabbed hold of my son with a disability. And the magistrate told me, well, he wasn't trying to attack you, he was trying to get the son. And he told me I was not able to put that in the report.
You can't listen to them. I would put it in there anyway.
Right.
Don't listen to them.
Right.
You do what you put it in there anyway. Don't ask them. Don't ask nobody no more questions about it. Do what you know best. Put whatever you need to put it in there. Don't listen to them.
Right. Because if you don't, then it didn't happen.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It happened. Right. And if you come back later and say it happens, then the question will become, okay, well, why isn't it in the report?
You got to see. You got to CYA.
Yeah. Always.
Yep. CYA.
Always. Well, thank you, Natasha.
Thank you. Don't forget. Contact me if you need me.
I will. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, people on Facebook that somebody said they were waiting to try to get accepted into Zoom. Well, you have to ask because I haven't gotten an indication that you've been trying to get in. Somebody said I uninstalled.
Hey,
Zoom,
TT.
now I can't. Okay. We are resilient and we do not give up, which is why we did this all over again.
Yeah, we about to. Yeah, I think we're gonna have some. I feel a podcast coming on, ma'am.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I feel a podcast. I feel one coming on. Okay. Yeah, I feel it because it's more women out there like Miss Natasha.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You have to think strategically, and you have to think in terms of self-control, which means not allowing yourself to get pulled into a knee-jerk reaction. So even if you're trapped right now in a situation, if you can focus on self-control, I'm telling you, when I was in my situation, he was acting the way he acts, and it was like the light bulb went on. I'm just being transparent. The light bulb went on in the middle of this dispute, and I thought, when I figure out how to master my response to this foolishness, okay, God is going to show me how to get out of this thing. And that's exactly what happened. So at that point, the focus shifts from wanting another human being to change, which is completely up to them, and there's nothing you can do to influence that, right? It's totally up to them, to changing what you can change, and that's how you respond. It's what your self-talk is. It's what you're telling yourself. If you're telling yourself, I'm stuck, I can't get out of here, this is my life, then you'll be stuck and that'll be your life. You've got to speak life even to yourself. Clinton talked about speaking life.
Yeah.
We've got to speak that to ourselves. You've got to speak life to yourself. You cannot speak defeat to yourself and overcome anything. And so you've got to monitor your self-talk. What are you saying to yourself about yourself, right? Who are you surrounding yourself with? Who else are you connected to?
Excuse me. I don't have coronavirus, people. Don't worry. I do not have the coronavirus. I just sneeze. I know how y'all get. Y'all talk about, where your mask at? Where your mask? Hold on. I don't have the coronavirus.
Well,
I don't even drink.
Even if you did, we got 6 feet of separation.
I mean, do my social distancing.
Social distancing. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. This is real informative. I hope that we can do this. I hope we can come. I think we should do more of it.
Yes.
I think we should do more of it.
We should do more of it. I absolutely agree. And we will get around the technological glitches or whatever. Sometimes people saying sometimes they're saying that they can't. I'm just saying, y'all just hang in there with us. Hang in there with us. We'll get it. We'll get a handle on it. The thing about technology is sometimes it does what it's supposed to do. Sometimes it doesn't.
Right.
We don't have any ultimate control over that. But just stay connected. If you need a template for a safety plan, if you subscribe to our blog at www.judasroar.com, you'll get a template It's completely free. You'll get it automatically. It'll get emailed to you as soon as you sign up for the blog, okay? I'm not writing and bombarding you every 2 days because I hate it when people do that to me. It's just too much.
Right.
So you hear from me when I have something to say. So I'll post an article when I have something to say. When I feel in my spirit it's time for me to speak on a thing, then I'll speak on a thing. We will continue to do our weekly broadcasts. I've got some exciting announcements to make here in the very near future, probably the next week and a half, 2 weeks or so. We'll be unveiling some other things. And so we're excited about what the Lord is doing. We know that this is a daunting task. We know this. I know this. Clinton knows that.
Absolutely. But I was built for this. He picked I don't think he wouldn't have picked me if it wasn't me. I didn't choose domestic violence. Domestic violence chose me.
Right. And I just thought that your story was so inspiring, and that people who advocate for a cause are touched by that cause on a personal level. It's what causes you to embrace it all of the time. It's not just in October when it's domestic violence.
Oh no, I got it's domestic violence awareness years. Yeah, years.
Right. Minutes, hours.
Because every 20 seconds somebody being abused.
Yeah.
Here in Oklahoma County, in 2017, there were 82 deaths. 49 were men, 33 were women.
It's a lot.
Yes.
And now whole families.
Absolutely.
Whole families being taken out. And
then there was a murder. There's a murder-suicide. Murder-suicide is rapid. It is running rapid, man. Like, we have to do something about this. Like, we have to do something. But we will. You know, this just the beginning.
Going, right?
We will.
We just have to keep going.
Oh yeah, we will. I hope to be. I want to be in 50 states. I want to be in 50 states. I want to create awareness in 50 states.
Yes, that's right, and that's doable.
Yeah,
that's doable. So again, thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
About the vision and everything that God has given you, especially that high rise.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it. I'm gonna get it too.
You admitted the consignment store this time. You mentioned it last time.
Oh yeah. I'm selling, like, I got clothing and apparel store, where, and it's a resale shop too, where you could donate things that you're not, gender used things. So I could raise money to build this high rise because I'm going to be honest with you. I researched the Goodwill, and the CEO makes about $729,000, and we don't know. I don't know what the Goodwill do or what they give or whatever. I know they own sponsor something, but I don't know. But I know what I want to do with that kind of money, and that's what it's about. I want to be able to just give. I just prayed, and I pray every night that God gives me an abundance of money so that I can, first of all, take care of my family, but I just want to be able to give it. I just want to be able to help people out of situations that, give them the hand up, you know what I mean? So I pray for that, and that's what I'm going to keep doing until I can do what I want to do. And I know that without God, nothing is possible. I give him all of the glory. I give him everything. Because of God and and I've been through some things as well, but because of God and him, reminding me, hey, this is why I made you the way you are. I just got to keep going. That's why I don't listen to people. I don't listen to people at all. Tori, it is 82 deaths, 49 were men and 33 were women. I just read the other day that 1.7 million men will be sexually assaulted or raped in their lifetime. That is crazy.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. Yes, that is crazy. I know it's crazy. That's another topic we can talk about.
Right.
But
and what that does to the psyche and what kind of behavior comes out of that. I want to say one thing about a small child, before we go, a small child that witnesses abuse. Their response to that in adulthood, it can play out more than one way. They can be the badder, right, which we talked about.
Yeah.
They can be primed to be a victim because that's what they've been exposed to.
Right.
They can also harbor a resentment towards their mother.
Right, and that's what causes aggression.
They love her. They might be the one that pays the light bill or whatever, but they
Yeah.
resent her because
She didn't spend time with him. Right.
She didn't spend time with him. She was not emotionally available, and
Right.
she kept them in an unsafe situation.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I just wanted to, I don't know who needs to hear that on the replay or whatever, but they just dropped in my spirit. So that's one of the things that can play out is resentment because they weren't safe.
And the piggyback
all the time.
And the piggyback, ladies and gentlemen, please be mindful of who you have around your child. Please be mindful of what you're doing around your child as well, because kids learn by modeling. They would take what you do before what you say in any situation. So please make sure that you're giving your child the best opportunity to succeed by doing the things that you need to do. You know what I mean?
And your boyfriend is not your babysitter.
Yeah, and stop leaving your baby with your boyfriends. That's the worst place that you can leave your babies with is your boyfriend. It's so many kids that I've seen that has lost their lives at the hands of a boyfriend. Please don't leave your kids there with the boyfriend. You know, I know we got to find a way to make it happen. You know what I'm saying? We got to find a way to make our kids safe and make you safe, because we do. Right. We love you. We want you to understand. Right. I don't want you to take anything that I said today personally as an attack, but I want you to take it as a eye-opening experience, because you can be Ashley too. Right. You can die just like my sister died, and your brother, your father will feel the pain. Right. My father passed away October 13th, 2019. My father never recuperated from my sister being murdered. My father held that in, and he didn't get counseling. He barely talked about it. And I mean, he tried to talk about it with me a couple of times, but it bothered him so much till it just, I think it just caused him, pain, and he never really got over it. He was never the same. Then he got sick. Finally, he was diagnosed with cancer in 2015, June of 2015. And, man, he fought hard. But I will say domestic violence impacts not only the victim and the perpetrator, but it impacts the family of the victim and the perpetrator. It impacts the entire community. And with that being said, let's make sure that we are trying to do the best we can to be successful. Let's help ourselves. Let's love ourselves. Let's ask for help if we need it. Let's bring back the importance in humanity. And that is the last thing that I'm going to say today. I appreciate everybody who came out. I appreciate Ms. Natasha for having the courage to talk about her situation. Again, if you need me, call me, text me, hit me up in my messenger. You know what I mean? Let's just change lives together. God put us here. God said, thou have not because thou ask not. Right. So I ask you guys today to let's lean on God and let's work together to turn our communities around to make this world a better place. Y'all have a good night. It's been fun, but the bald-headed one got to run.
Thank you.